Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we are reviewing Spider-Man No Way Home spoilers. That is my warning to you. If you have not yet seen Spider-Man No Way Home, click off this video, go check out my spoiler-free review and come back to this one when you have seen the movie. I don't want to be the person who spoils this for you. But before we go any further, could you be a dear? Hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. It really does help me and the channel massively, and we thank you if you do. So, No Way Home spoilers. Let's start at the beginning. With hindsight, I do think there are problems with the whole identity crisis. The Avengers' identity is known to the people. People know that Steve Rogers is Captain America, that Tony Stark is Iron Man. And it never really caused a problem for these people. But for Spider-Man, it seems to have caused a huge problem. I understand that it also came with the caveat of being called a murderer by Mysterio, but nonetheless, I struggle to understand why people are so celebrity obsessed with the fact that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. It just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me. I'm wondering if it's the fact that he's at school, and just because he's at school, it sort of comes with that melodrama that naturally comes at that age. I don't know, it's one of those hindsight things. I rolled with it at the time, but looking back on it, I do think it's a little bit convenient. And I also think it makes Peter Parker look a little bit stupid and naive that he didn't consider any other alternatives before going to a big spooky wizard man who could really wreck some stuff. Don't know, I don't like it in hindsight. It could be a lot smoother, but I can roll with it. And then of course we do get Charlie Cox as Daredevil, which I was very happy to see when he turned up in the movie. When I did see him, I did think, yep, if he's in here, that means the other stuff is all accurate as well that got leaked. Some things did get spoiled for me, unfortunately. This is why I wanted to warn you at the beginning. Don't watch this if you have not yet seen it. But I guess it wasn't a total shock. At least when I saw him, it was like, oh, so it's true. And I was really happy to see him. I thought he played a really nice part here for as small as it was. I do think it's a missed opportunity though, because Spider-Man is on his own in a lot of this movie. His back is against the wall here. He's also just come off the back of trusting Mysterio quite stupidly, and he's having to learn from that and reconcile the fact that he can't trust everybody that pats him on the back and says good job. Having that Daredevil character sort of be there and maybe work with him through this situation in part, have a little bit of a team up, could have been really interesting. It could have been fun to see Spider-Man learn to trust again and work as a team again before we get to the latter part of the film. But also including that probably would have made the movie nearly another half an hour longer, so I do understand that sometimes you just got to cut your losses and make this thing flow. I did enjoy Doctor Strange and Spider-Man's relationship here. I was quite concerned that Doctor Strange was just going to be forced into the mold of Tony Stark, be the father figure, and I didn't want that, and thankfully it isn't that. Doctor Strange feels more like the uncle, whereas Tony Stark feels like the dad. He's begrudging, he finds you annoying, and he's not afraid to let you know that he finds you annoying, but at the end of the day, he does love you, and he will see you through to the end, and that is the sort of bond they have here, and I really liked it here. I do think Doctor Strange gets nerfed a little bit. He's a lot smarter and not quite so easily swayed as he is in this movie, at least in my opinion of the character. I also thought he was a lot more powerful than this. I struggled to believe that Spider-Man would beat Doctor Strange in a Inception-style universe fight. I feel like that would be Doctor Strange's bread and butter compared to Spider-Man, and yet Spider-Man wins. I can roll with it, but I don't buy the logistics of it. But that fight there is a perfect example of what I mean about when I said in the spoiler-free video that these fights have personality. They really did sort of play it as a top trumps game of who would top who based upon their skill set and abilities. Doc Ock was fairly useless against Electro. I mean, he has metallic robotic arms and this guy can shoot electricity. He's not going to have a fun time against him. Sandman versus Electro, on the other hand, oh yeah, that went down perfectly fine because sand is not conductive and Sandman just sort of dealt with Electro. I like the logic applied to the fight and that they saw the actual reality of who would beat who. When Doc Ock is fighting Spider-Man, they make sure Spider-Man gets his iron spider claws out so that they both have tentacles on their back to some degree. And yes, Doc Ock actually does technically win that fight, I suppose, because he's more experienced and he has more sentient control over his arms, but Spider-Man actually wins the fight really because the technology transfers itself from his suit onto Doc Ock's arms and essentially immobilizes Doc Ock's arms with stock technology. Very clever, I like that. That's really nicely done. Ned can now open portals. I don't love this, but I understand it. I appreciate the fact that he does have Doctor Strange's ring. Again, makes Doctor Strange look a little bit stupid and naive. But I also like that he sort of did it by accident and he sort of fluked it. He doesn't know how to close them. And in fact, he actually opened the wrong portals anyway, which is why we end up with Andrew Garfield and Toby Maguire. Yes, it's confirmed they are in the movie. And when Andrew Garfield turns up in particularly, my audience gasped and applauded. It was a beautiful moment to be a part of. It's not so much that they weren't interested in Toby Maguire, it was just that Andrew appeared first. And when you saw one, it all but confirmed that you would be getting both. It was a really nice, special moment to be a part of that I'm not going to forget, and I love the interaction between the characters, whether they be all three Spider-Men or where it's Andrew Garfield trying to convince to Zendaya that he is in fact Peter Parker and he is Spider-Man. I love that all three Spider-Men stuck to their original principles of the character and their given performances at the time. It allowed them to work as a team. It made them cohesive. No one was competing with each other. And it made the balance so natural of the fact that these are the same people, but they are different. They are just from different universes, so there are variations. Tobey Maguire is much older and straight-laced, and Andrew Garfield is still kind of quirky and quick-lipped. But at no point did I ever think, oh, these are totally different people to each other. They did feel like a variation of the same person, and it was so nicely done. And the callbacks they were just done well. They found a home for them nicely. They weren't relied upon. Things like Tobey Maguire needing his back clicked because it's still wrecked from the last movie. My back! Oh, my back! Andrew Garfield pops it for him, and it's not a it is a callback, but it's actually a story beat. It's a part of the story. It's a bonding moment between these two characters. That's what I mean. It was never just sort of, this would be a fun moment to reference that point. It was, let's take that moment and build on it. And I love that. I do think Aunt May's death was a little bit clumsy. If they just applied a little bit more thought to it, it could have been so much smoother and easier went through. She gets hit by the glider in a bit of an explosion, and then there's a bit more fighting going on, and then a goblin grenade goes off near her. And you just sort of think, oh, she's toast. She's gone. She's not coming back from this. But then she's just up on her feet and walking around, and you're just sort of like, oh, maybe she's cool. I guess she's cool then. I didn't do anything. But then she falls down like 5 seconds later, and it's just sort of like, well, why did she get up then? Just keep her down. It could have just flowed so much smoother. She's hurt on impact, deathly blow. Spider-Man's like, oh crap, what do I do? Where are you, May? And then finds her in the rubble. I didn't like this whole walking around, we're going to get you out of here, when it didn't end up that way. It's not smooth. It actually makes the emotional resonance jittery rather than glide through it in a nice fashion. Such a small little thing that so easily could have been fixed. But nonetheless, I thought the performances were really strong in this moment. Tom Holland really did pull at my heartstrings, where he's, dealing with the fact that his aunt has died and he's just sick of this now. He's just tired of this situation he's in, and you can see the rage building in him that he's not who we know and love. He is getting angry about the situation and how stupid he has been. I thought as much as the death was sloppy, I thought the emotional reaction was perfect. It gets a lot darker and we see a much nastier side to Tom Holland's Spider-Man, that we can see that he could go down a dark road if he wanted to. And again, he needs Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man to sort of make him see that. It's not lazy. It's really nicely done with some really good emotional resonance to it. I have to admit, that shot near the end of the fight where you get all three Spider-Men landing on the roof, chills, genuine chills. I love that shot. I could watch that shot on repeat as a GIF. It needs someone make it into a GIF. It's such an incredible shot. That's one of those shots where you didn't know you wanted it until you saw it. What an incredible shot. It was fairly well predicted, well in advance of the movie, that it would be Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man that saves Zendaya. You see her in the trailer falling. Everyone knows the story now that, of course, Andrew Garfield's last movie, his partner in the film, Gwen Stacy, does not make it from a very similar situation. She falls Andrew Garfield doesn't get there in time. I have to admit, as much as I was almost expecting that moment to play out, it hit me so much harder than I ever thought it would. It's all Garfield's performance. You can see the look on his face that he can't quite believe what's happened himself, and that he can maybe forgive himself for a moment, but he's not saying anything. It's just all a look on his face. It's actually the fact that Zendaya asks him if he's okay, and he just sort of nods in acceptance of the fact that he did the right thing now, but he couldn't do it when it mattered for him. Not a word spoken, and just so beautifully delivered. And as we get towards the end of the fight, the multiverse starts to break down. We start seeing like cracks in the sky and so on. And the only way to really fix it is if we just basically discast the spell entirely, make everyone forget he was Spider-Man, like nothing ever happened. And again, I was starting to get a little bit worried when this came forward, because I thought, no, you balls up the last spell, Tom Holland. What's to suggest you're going to get it right this time? Like, have you not learnt your lesson? And I was further concerned because obviously he goes to say goodbye to Zendaya and Ned and sort of explain the situation, but they still have this naive childhoodness about them that they're going to be fine. Like, oh yeah, as much as we're saying this is going to happen, it's not actually going to affect us, and we're going to wake up tomorrow and you're going to remember, and we're going to be boyfriend and girlfriend, and we're going to carry on exactly as we are. When you just know that the reality of the situation is just not that. And it did have me worried, but they go through with it. They actually pull it off, and I thought it worked even nicer that they kind of believed they'd get away with it. Because you have this moment of Tom Holland visiting Zendaya at the coffee shop, and he has like this list of things he's going to say to her to win her back, and he just very quickly realizes she's gone. There's no getting her back now. You just have to let her go. And he does, and that's where he becomes Spider-Man. He does the right thing for everyone else except himself. And of all the shots in the movie, it was actually the little coffee cup on the bedside table sort of suggesting that he's still checking in on her, that's the one that got me. And then Tom Holland jumps out that window. He's gliding around the city, throwing himself around in a new suit. It's snowing. There's Christmas trees out in New York, and he is Spider-Man into his full content because he is the fucking Spider-Man. I love this movie. There are plot holes. The more I look back on it, I do realize there are issues with the movie, but I just don't care. This is such a roller coaster ride. This is so enjoyable. There is so much fun. There's so much to take on board and process. This is exactly what a blockbuster film is all about. Delivering. Give the fans what they wanted and more. Give the fans the stuff they didn't even know they wanted. Just trust and believe in solid source material, because the fans do. That's why they're fans. Thank you for watching this review. Please be sure to hit the like button and the subscribe button, and please hit the comment section as well. You have free reign to discuss whatever you please now. This is the spoiler discussion. Go crazy in there. Let me know what you thought. Do you agree with my points, or perhaps maybe do you see them differently? Let me know in the comment section below. Take care, and I look forward to seeing you on the next review.